Hey YouTube, Joe Walker here at Def Digits Guitar Lessons, and I'm going live right now for my student Bernhard, who wants to learn a little bit of how to play funk grooves on the guitar. So I'm sort of basing what I'm doing right now off of Sissy Strut by the Meters. I don't want to show you exactly how to play that particular tune, but you're going to hear some of that. If you know the tune, you're going to hear some of that in what I'm doing here. So to start off, I'm going to have you go into the key of C. We'll put it at the 8th fret at first, and then we might move it around a little bit later. But we're thinking first of C minor pentatonic, which would be this, at the 8th fret. And we're going to start with that root right there. And we're just going to play that note in the beginning. And we're not even going to play that note in the beginning. We're just going to do mutes. Then we're going to start playing that note, and then we'll start expanding to the rest of the scale. But first, I wanted to put you in that mindset of here we are in the key of C. C minor pentatonic is our main scale we're going to use. And we're also going to throw in that note right there. So that's our 1, that's our root, flat 3 to the 3. So that will be some of our vocabulary using that scale and that extra note. So start with, put your hand right here, put your ring finger on that root, on that C 10th fret of the D string. And we're going to start with just playing that string muted, just like this. And doing this along with the metronome is really helpful because it helps you stay locked in time, which is really essential in funk music. And if you've got this kind of feature where it gives that different pitch every beat 1, every 4 beats, that can also help you stay locked in time, not just within the beat, but within the whole measure, so you can feel where the beginning of each measure is. If you've seen that video of Bootsy Collins telling you how to play funk, it's all about the 1, baby. So you're always trying to find that, always trying to feel where that 1 is. And if you're a bass player, you might really be emphasizing it. Some of these guitar parts I'm going to show you don't always have to land on the 1, but you always got to feel where that beat 1 is. So that feature on a metronome is really helpful if you can get it to do that. We're going to start with, put your hand in that position. We're playing that note where we're going to play this one, that C at the 10th fret, but just leave it muted at first. Here's the first thing I want you to do. 16th notes, just muted. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have this metronome set to 80 beats per minute. Move your own metronome to whatever tempo you need to be able to do that comfortably. Next thing to do is take those 16th notes and start emphasizing some of those and de-emphasizing others, but don't skip any of those 16th notes. Don't leave any out. Don't really do any different rhythms, but you're going to end up sort of emphasizing rhythms. Let me demonstrate. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So I was sort of making up my own rhythms with my right hand, but I was not doing it it's not like I was drumming on a drum. It was more like I was still playing every single one of those 16th notes, but some of them were coming out louder and some of them were going softer. And that's going to be sort of the essence of how all of this is going to feel when you're playing these kind of funk grooves. You're always going to keep that 16th note feel going in the right hand. And most of the time, you might actually just be hitting strings the entire time, just really de-emphasizing some and emphasizing others to create this illusion that you're playing different rhythms. Next, we're going to bring in that 1 note. we're going to mix that one note in with all of these mutes that we're doing. So we're going to start by play that note on beat 1, and then don't play it at any other moments. Start with only play that note on beat 1, and then continue making these rhythms on the rest of the measure. 2, 3, 4. Try to come up with a different rhythm, a different emphasized rhythm each measure as you're doing it. Next, we're going to start putting that note in wherever you want. Get it on beat 1, and then you can put it in at other moments during the measure. And this has nothing to do with the right hand. It's just a matter of the left hand pressing that note down or not. 3, 4. So some of those times I missed that note on beat 1. Excuse me, I was doing it by feel, and so it's sort of come out just, it's almost like it came out on purpose, just based on my musical taste of how I wanted those rhythms to go. Sometimes I missed beat 1. It was usually because I had some kind of rhythmic pattern going that meant that I would skip beat 1, keep the pattern going all the way through the next measure, and then the next beat 1 I really had to make sure I landed on. So next we're going to add in one note right there. Now those two notes, we're going to make some little, just improvise some little funk rhythms using those two notes. 2, 3, 4. Next, we're going to add in, let's see, those two notes up there. Go to the G string, fret 8 and 9. And this, in the context of that whole minor pentatonic, C minor pentatonic, that's the flat 3 and the 3. And each time you go to play one of those notes, play both of them in that order, like that. 2, 3, 4. So I was getting a little busy there sometimes. I think if I were actually playing something like Sissy Strut or some funk groove that use these kind of concepts, I would not play so busy so often. I'm just kind of experimenting, just trying to improvise some things, just coming up with ideas. Most of what I would find more tasteful would be try to find the most sparse way of playing these kind of ideas while still having it be interesting. That's the sort of the essence of what I find to be interesting in this style of music, is to play as little as possible. Just make the notes that you're playing as efficient as you possibly can. Next, we're going to add, let's open up and play the rest of the minor pentatonic scale. We can go down there to that low note. I would probably play it like this, down on this root, the flat 7 underneath it, flat 3 up here, 4, 5. So flat 3, 4, 5 on the same string, flat 7, 1, flat 3. Let's just make that the top note for now. 3, 4. One thing you might have noticed, these two notes up here, or those three notes, you can duplicate them down here. So you can also go open up to the rest of the minor pentatonic on the top. You can get those same notes up there, flat 3 to 3, down to the 1. One last little concept that I want to show you is when we're playing like this, with this collection of notes, we're implying a C7 chord. So you might know your C7 chord like this as a big bar chord, or you might know it in a more sparse version like this, with root, flat 7, and 3 like that. However you know it, try to find just a slice of the bigger chord and just pick 2 notes out of it and try to just stab at those 2 notes in between some of the single note things you're doing. So let's try that now with just this low root and then these 2 notes on top, the flat 7 and the 3. The flat 7 is D string fret 8 and the 3 is G string fret 9. So that will be our little mini chord that we're going to stab at. So we're going to do this improvising rhythm down here on this low C, and then we're going to stab at that chord sometimes. 2, 4. So we're taking that idea of the whole C7, the dominant 7 chord, just take a small slice of it and just make that as a little stab that you can throw in between your little riff things. You can take everything that we just did over here and move that over to have your root, take your root off of root 6 and string 6 and string 4 over here. Move that same thing over here to string 5 and string 3. The only difference is flat 3 is now here and 3 is here. And you can go down to the 5 pretty easily. And then you can get something like this. 3, 4. So that concept of sissy strut is same thing we were just talking about. Keep that 16th note rolling in your right hand. Make sure you're sticking to like implying a C dominant 7 chord in your left hand. So that would be minor pentatonic. In this case, that riff is all minor pentatonic. With the exception of that flat 3 bends up just a tiny bit to almost imply that note right there. All right, that's all I got for you on the funk rhythms and funk grooves today. Have a good time. Let me know how it goes. Thank you for watching. See you next time.